Hello and welcome back to another episode of Trackside Tips. My name is Storm Dafoe and I am joined by Fred Gillis, who is the Executive Director of ASHA, and Don McDougall, who is the Vice President of ASHA. We're going to be talking about Track on 2 Saturday's races. Who wants to start?
I'm going to let Fred start because he has the conditions of the race. I'm just going to say that it's an exciting weekend for Alberta racing. On Sunday is the Western Canada Pacing Derby and the Don Byrne Memorial. And there's also some good races, Century Mile on Friday. So it's great to have a decent 6-race card here at Track on 2. Some really interesting races, some really interesting combination of horses. Fred, what's the first race come up with?
We've got a non-winners at 2 to 3 races lifetime. Fillies and mares in here would draw the inside. And right away, I'll start it off with Big Engine. I think he goes wire to wire, pretty much the same class as last time. But anyway, let's start him off for the day.
I'm going to try horse Kootenai Lager. It's a vertical horizon colt who was always thought from a long period of time in its stakes years and stuff that this horse was going to be a really decent colt, and just really hasn't worked out quite as good as Rod in his barn thought it was going to be. Horses out of the Rod Hennessy barn, so I'm going to try Kootenai Lager in here as a little bit of an upset.
And he does seem to be racing a little better the last couple of starts.
Yeah, coming on a little bit more for sure. That's something that handicappers and race bettors always have to realize. They're not all perfect at 2 and 3, right? Horses a lot of times will get better, just a matter of finding the ones that are going to go on as they're going.
Yeah.
Second race, Fred?
Non-winners of 7 races lifetime, 10,000 claimer. I went to the outside here, Triple Action. She's been racing pretty good for Lance Ward. I think she threw in a bad one, but has been racing really consistent. Seems to like that track, and I'll go with her.
Yeah, we're going to be the first time, I think, in 3 days that we've actually been on the same horse, Fred. I just think this mare, she's 6 years old. I think she's racing as good as she's been racing since she was back in her stakes years. Every week in the last 2 months, she's just been out there and really, really competitive in the races. And Take On the Boys is in here, and she's normally a front-end mare. Front end doesn't necessarily hang on or do as good at that point, but I just think Triple Action is really at a level, and she's kind of at the top of the level where she's been for a couple years, but racing really, really well for Lance.
Definitely.
For sure.
Third race, Fred?
This is maiden class, also eligible maiden claimers to draw the inside. And I picked Don't Rock the Boat, Baby. Kelly Hart, as I said before, he runs a very large stable. He tests them out. They either win and move on, or they win and don't and move out.
That horse still gives me nightmares thinking about, because it brings up a song that I can't get out of my head from your era, Fred. I'm going to take a 2-year-old Mystery Chase colt out of the Quentin Snyder barn, Cut a Rug. I really struggled with this race, finding horses in and out. I was actually going to take a 3-year-old filly, vertical filly, but I think this horse is racing at Century Mile and has the rail on Friday night, so I think the horse will probably be scratched, Point to the Dragon. But I'm going to take Cut a Rug in here. A 2-year-old who has been stakes tested, caught a little piece of it, now in a maidens class. Again, a mixed match of horses. They're kind of a really interesting combination of horses inside here. So I'm going to try a 2-year-old against a couple older ones.
Sure,
a
lot of unknowns in the maiden.
Yeah, absolutely.
Race 4, non-winners of 40,000 lifetime, 7,500 claimer. In here, I'm going to go with Here Comes the Thunder. He's been racing really super consistent for Quentin, and I think he gets the job done here today.
So we're going to have a battle of the Schneiders here in the picks that we're making. I'm going to take Ricky's horse on the inside. That's how it goes. This horse seems to go back and forth between the straights and the claiming, and always seems to race really good in the claiming division of it. Got the inside. I think Mike's driving, so I think this horse is going to be really competitive in here.
Race 5, non-winners of 3 races, life, 7,500 claimer. In here, I went with Special and Unique. I'm going to let Storm talk because I think she's on this horse too.
Yes, Special and Unique is also going to be my pick of the day. Came in from the Manitoba B track and is a well-bred shadow play filly. And it's also in Kelly Hort's barn now. And so he's one of the top trainers, and I think he'll be able to do some great stuff with her.
For sure, and we've seen this done before with some moderate success. Different horses have come to different stables and stepped up their game. Having come from small tracks myself, I can tell you some of the horses there are tough when they get a chance at the bigger circuit. It's just what you have. You race for smaller purses, and when they get a chance, a lot of them will step up. And so I like your pick. And I think he's got a hell of a shot.
I'm going to go with June Morning, who is a 3-year-old vertical horizon filly from the Hennessy barn. It's a filly who is been stakes tested during the year, raced some really tough fillies, and seems to have found a little bit of a softer spot in here. So as much as I like the nice warm your heart story, I'm going to go with a little bit more solid and proven horse. June Morning has gone up against some pretty good fillies this year, and I think she'll find these ones quite a bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and to finish off the card, race 6. It's non-winners of $1,500, last 3, claiming $4,000. And Don?
Well, I'm going to let Storm talk about this horse also, because we've kind of landed on a similar one here in this race too. The horse is Burnt Island Billy. Storm, why were you on this horse?
I chose this horse. Been off since July and qualified in a 7,500 claimer last week, and there's been a class release, and so I think that is going to be my long shot, or my pick of the day rather.
For this one, I kind of think of the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat when I think of this horse. Probably not the greatest analogy in the world for horse racing, but I've seen this horse look like he was just really going to be something at times. He raced in California, had a couple really good starts. I think this is a horse that really frustrated Nathan Sobey to death, and he's not in Nathan's barn anymore.
Yeah.
Moved on. But I think this is a horse that just sometimes just looked like he was going to be a superstar, and other times just didn't put in the same effort, a real in and outer. But I think he's really drawn a class in here where he's going to be really competitive with somebody who might not be quite as frustrated with the horse at this period of time. And I think the horse solidly fits inside of here. So my pick also was Burnt Island Billy in here.
I'm going to go against you. I'm going to pick Explain Not Complain from the Quentin and Kim Snyder stable. I think this is 2 wins for Quentin on his birthday week.
Well, there you go.
Quentin had his birthday, it was Thursday, I think, or Wednesday. And I'll say he gets 2 wins. I picked Here Comes the Thunder earlier, and I'm going to finish off with Explain Not Complain, just for that reason.
Lots towards the end of the card, lots of big fields, lots of interesting races where some things can happen and stuff. I think it'll be an interesting day at Lacombe.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
and I was just going to say, Quentin is having a tremendous meet at the track on 2. He came up last year, didn't have a lot of success, but he's really got the horses firing good this year. So
definitely.
Good to him.
Definitely. Well, post time up at Track on 2 is at 3:10 p.m. on Saturday. My name is Storm Dafoe, and we will see you at the races.